In this episode, foreign brothels are now understaffed. Law enforcers have freed 5 Ukrainian girls from the tentacles of pimps. They cause addiction, disease, and problems at the border. We're talking about drugs. It does not matter whether they are synthetic or plant-based. A Falcon missile, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrencies, and the Hyperloop. These are the symbols of our present. But in pursuit of advanced technology, mankind still hasn't managed to get rid of one shameful legacy of the past, the slave trade. According to the international organization Walk Free Foundation, the number of slaves in the world currently stands at 45 million, and their labor brings about $150 billion to criminals. It's the third most profitable illegal business after the black market in weapons and drugs. Ukraine has not escaped this problem either. Our workers end up most often in the networks of international criminals. Young girls are at greatest risk. The leaders of slave traders and his accomplice were recently detained at the Yahodin checkpoint in Volyn region. Our fellow countrymen and an Armenian citizen were caught trafficking 3 future sex workers to Germany. This footage shows the very moment when they were captured. This security operation, which involved the Dozor and Court special units, was the culmination of over 6 months of work involving border guards, the national police, and the prosecutor general's office. One of the suspects fell into view of units of the State Border Guard Service last year. Next, a complex of operational measures was carried out, during which it became possible to establish a number of attempts at criminal activity, as well as determine a range of people involved in it. The criminals searched for potential sex workers among vulnerable groups of society, since they're easier to manipulate and mislead with promises of work abroad. Taking advantage of the vulnerability of the victims, the criminals offered the girls allegedly legal work in Germany, while they actually drowned them in debt, planning to later use them in the sexual services industry. On the same day, 2 more Ukrainian girls were lucky enough to escape sexual slavery. This happened at Boryspil airport, thanks to Odessa law enforcement officers. The girls were being transported by a former Kyiv woman, now a Belgian citizen. The 46-year-old criminal was detained before boarding the plane. The woman met the candidates and promised them streets of gold. If the victim agreed, this do-gooder set out the specifics of future work. She promised to take care of all expenses. In turn, the recruited young girls were to repay their debts with the money they would earn for providing intimate services. Investigators are currently working on finding out how many gullible Ukrainian girls got caught on the hook of the organizers of this channel, and the slave traders have been detained. They are facing jail time of 5 to 12 years. The inventors of this medical drug had good intentions, to relieve people of their pain, but the effects of this strong analgesic were quickly appreciated by those who like to get high as a kite. Thus, in 2008, Tramadol was officially recognized in Ukraine as a drug. Since then, those selling and transporting faced the prospect of criminal liability. Shahini checkpoint. A Ukrainian was returning home through it. He was driving a van packed with sacks, suitcases, and boxes. But was all the cargo legal? As it turned out, it wasn't. And here's the already mentioned forbidden drug. 100 Tramadol tablets immediately turned the driver into a crime suspect. And this is the eastern border of Ukraine, a Hoptivka checkpoint. During inspection of a vehicle that our countryman was driving to Russia, a service dog gave a clear signal. The suitcase contained a secret. Such was the reaction of the bushy-tailed expert to a drug, though this one was of plant origin. Now the man can end up in jail because of a bag containing marijuana, but it's up to the judges to decide. We'll just add that over the past year, border guards and their colleagues expropriated almost 350 kilograms of drugs, and over 30 kilograms of psychotropic substances and precursors. Watch next: Tobacco and Cotton Wool, the secrets of Belarusian smugglers. In search of the snowman, how Kharkiv border guards saved a drug dealer. A quiet winter day, it was snowing lightly at the Domanova checkpoint in Volyn region. But then some work came along. This Belarusian truck was giving off an uneasy vibe. Is everything legal? It cannot be, as the Belarusians would say. And they would have been right. It turned out that rolls of innocent-looking mineral wool were hiding 120 boxes of counterfeit Belarusian smokes. That would be 60,000 packets of cigarettes. That's how many cigarettes were found in the truck by guards and customs officers. By the way, this is not the first batch of tobacco to come from a neighboring country that was stopped at the Ukrainian border. But here's one interesting fact. Take a closer look at the trademark on the rolls. This is the brand of the famous Belarusian glassworks Neman. It's located in Grodno region, Belarus, and it's been making dishes since 1883. It branched out into mineral wool only recently. And now your attention please. The recently seized cigarettes are the products of another Neman, the famous tobacco factory in Grodno. This enterprise has been the leader in cigarette production in Belarus for over 150 years, both for the domestic market and exports. Even though domestic consumption in the country does not exceed 15 billion cigarettes a year, Neman alone produces roughly 22 billion cigarettes for local brands. It's easy to guess where the rest goes. It's still a mystery whether the Nemans have something in common in addition to the name and location. However, Ukrainian border guards have already established a certain link between them. Controversy around the snowman has been around for a long time. Some deny its existence, while others are sure that the Yeti does exist. Many have even seen it. But border guards have no such dilemma. From time to time, they actually meet snow people. Even though they haven't yet seen the true Bigfoot, they occasionally find illegal migrants and other criminals lost in the snow. Like this resident of occupied Crimea, for example. His life circumstances led him to this hospital bed.
Приехал с гражданской женой.
I moved to Kiev with my wife to improve our lives.
Своей жизни.
However, the young man was going to improve his life by selling drugs. He was caught doing precisely that. He decided to avoid punishment by escaping to Russia. He was under house arrest and ended up in Kharkiv region. The desperado set out right in the middle of a snowstorm without any preparation, warm clothes or equipment. He realized after a while that he was lost. I kept wandering for about 14 hours in the cold. Fortunately, this survival experiment was stopped by border guards of the Vovchansk detachment of the Kharkiv unit. They sent the detained to a local hospital for urgent care. My leg and 4 toes were frostbitten. I was also suffering from hypothermia.
Ну и переохлаждение, в общем, получил. Все, после чего...
I was then sent by the border guards to a local district hospital.
В местную больницу районную.
Now another court hearing awaits the seeker of a better life. But there is no bad without good. Thanks to the Green Berets, this young man will have another birthday, and so we send him our congratulations. In our next episode, energy-saving technologies, modern equipment, and showers for dogs, how a unit operates on the border with Russia. Following the trail of salmon, or where do smugglers lay out caviar, and where do they pick up it from?